This is American Tower on the monthly chart, and I had marked this up at least 12 months ago. And what's pretty cool is when the technicals match the fundamentals. I'm going to label this as monthly buyers at the 170 level. And this zone has held once, twice. Question is it going to hold a third time? As we can see, price is reacting to the zone once again. And that zone was created based on this move here. You had a rally in price, a basing candle, and the rally out. So a leg in, basing candle, leg out. This was the pandemic lows, which was a great entry to take it long. Again, this area has held once, twice, and now for a third time. Now, if I put the low of this month's candle, we can see it's penetrated the zone roughly 50%, making its zone valid if price was to return. Now, before we continue with the analysis, let's look at this article. It is coming from the Motley Fool, and this is where the fundamentals come into play. And it's nice when the fundamentals match the technicals. All right, so yielding 3.5% is American Tower, the ultimate dividend growing REIT to buy right now. So American Tower put up fantastic returns for investors over the past 2 decades. Since 2002, its total return level has been close to 10,000%, raking the stock right on the threshold of becoming a 100 bagger. By comparison, the S&P 500 has put up a total return of 637% over that same period. But the last year has been a difficult story. Cell Tower REIT is facing multiple headwinds to its earnings, which has caused the shares to nosedive. They are down 33% in the past 12 months, while the S&P is up some 6%, a nearly 40% gap in price performance. So American Tower provides real estate for wireless communication networks. Generally, the company will lease space on its towers to telecommunication companies such as Verizon Communications, AT&T, etc., to put up stuff like antennas and 5G equipment. Tenants will sign long-term leases with American Tower, generally for 5 to 10 years, and with rent prices escalating of 3% annually. American Tower is required, since they are REIT, to pay out at least 90% of its taxable profits each year as dividends to its shareholders. Riding the tailwind of increasing cellular data adoption, American Tower's profits have soared in recent years. This has resulted in its dividend per share growing by a total of 486% over the last 10 years. And you can see that visually based on this graph. Let's talk about the headwinds. So, no secret, Fed Reserve has, and really global G7, G20 central banks have increased rates over the last 18 months. In the U.S., it's been the fastest pace in its history. Interest from expenses on, so the issue is American Tower has a lot of debt. You increase rates, that increases your interest expense. So in the second quarter of this year, American Tower's interest expense was $348 million compared to $213 million in the same period in 2021. The company has a major international presence, which means it collects a lot of revenue in foreign currencies. So as our U.S. Fed, Jerome Powell, has increased rates, smart money is looking for alpha. So if you increase rates, or if your rates are higher than someone else's, another country's interest rates, that money's going to flow into U.S. dollars, right? Because you're going to get a higher return on your investment. So with that said, so when the U.S. dollar appreciates in value relative to foreign currencies, which happened in last year, American Tower faces also an additional revenue hit as well. So you have the interest expense, you have the currency rate exchange with the U.S. dollar. So American Towers, they have to convert those foreign currencies back into US dollars, right? So they're going to get a lower return if the US dollar is appreciating against other assets and currencies. All right, so where do we go from here? Well, there are some more near-term pain for American Tower. 2022 was one of its worst years ever from a macroeconomic standpoint, and those conditions likely won't be repeated. This sets the company up to resume its long-term earnings growth trajectory at some point in the next few years. Also, right, we're all on YouTube. At least I am. Growing use of wireless data and international coverage. Mobile data consumption is projected to grow at a 20% annualized rate from 2023 through 2028 in the US. So I'm heavily on YouTube, primarily on my phone. So is my wife. So is a lot of Americans out there. If it's not YouTube, it's Facebook, it's Instagram, which requires network connotation. All right, so as you can see, the fundamentals are matching the technicals. You know, if you divide this chart up into threes, halves, let's do quarters. Price is cheap, price is expensive, price is a fair value. There's no reason for the zone not to hold again. So what must it clear? Potentially you have a drop in price, a base and candle, and then a rally out. We really need to see closes above this monthly downtrend line before we can really get bullish. However, aggressive buyers, they could have bought when price closed at 176. Would have taken a little heat, but now they're up. Let's go to the daily chart. We can see a daily supply level at 186. So this area needs to be taken out. This will be in conjunction with hopefully a close above the down monthly trend line. So conservative investors need to wait for a close above the downtrend line. You know, the setup is something like this. A retest and then higher. Now this pattern can happen over here, here, but when you pull back, what you really need to see is a bottoming out pattern and then a rise in price. Can we get back to $300? Most certainly. Because next year, G10, G20 central banks are going to start cutting rates. And that's going to favor companies such as American Tower. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Please like the video.